Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Sunday, November the 7th, and I am here to talk to you about NBA DFS on a Sunday. I know people are focusing on the NFL, but Sunday is an awesome day to play NBA DFS. Trust me, a lot of that residual money comes over from football, and the pots get nice and big, a lot of good cash game plays. So I'm excited to go over this with you today. I am, by the way, Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and hopefully you set your clocks back last night. If you didn't and you're listening to this, you got to get out there and do that now so you don't mess up your times for lock and everything else. So there you go. There's your fair warning for the day on setting those clocks back to make sure you get in your DFS locks on DraftKings, Fanduel, and Yahoo, which we supply for all three, by the way. We give a really adept coach's clipboard with some highlighted players and some additional guys to fill in your roster. And then we give full cash/hybrid lineups and GPP lineups on FanDuel and Yahoo. So excited about the slate today, not happy about last night's. So it broke my string of 300 plus DFS NBA nights, and don't want to even talk about Russ Westbrook and some of the things that did not go well, because the great thing about DFS is, guess what? Fresh start today, brand new, and we go right in and we kick some tail. It was fun watching that Boston-Dallas game. I know Dirk over here was celebrating. He jumped off the wall when Luka hit that long three to win it at the buzzer. That was a lot of fun. But getting a little old, Dirk, tired of throwing you back up there. But you know what? We'll take it when we can get a fun buzzer beater like that. All right, we have a very interesting slate. One thing I want to let you know right off the bat, it's an odd start time, and we're getting that a lot on Sunday, so you got to start getting used to that. It's a 6 p.m. Eastern lock, so it's an hour early than normal during the week. There is one early game in the afternoon that's right square in the middle of everything else going on. So we're going to focus on that 7 game, which is a great size NBA DFS main slate. All right, we're diving in. I know you guys need this information, and gals. All right, first game, here we go. It is the Utah Jazz and the Orlando Magic. Utah's a big 12.5-point favorite, and it's a 212.5 over-under, so not very healthy over-under there at all. You've got an implied total for Utah of 112.5, for Orlando just 100. As far as the records and injuries in this on this game, you've got Utah at an impressive 7-2, and Orlando coming in at 2-8. And definitely just trying to learn the ropes as a young team. Injury-wise for Utah, Rudy Gay is actually probable, so that will affect a little bit of the rotation if he's in there at all. Hughes is questionable. For Orlando, this is the big one. Cole Anthony, questionable, and that definitely shuffles the deck for Orlando because he's been flat out their best player. I mean, it's not even close. He's been fantastic. So if he sits, we got to really look at the depth chart here and talk about that. Brisdakis, who doesn't get in much, if at all. Iggy is questionable. Then still out the same foursome here of Carter Williams, Fultz, Isaac, and more. All right, let's look at a couple of things in this game. First of all, from a pace standpoint, and anybody that tells you like 10 games isn't a decent sample size, I get it. The industry has a tendency to want like hundreds of games, dumping optimizer, crunching numbers out, but that's not accurate. I think 10 games is a proper enough sample size for this season, and that's about where teams are at. And the reason I say that is if you're looking at the statistics from these teams from last year regarding pace, defensive efficiency, etc., a lot of the players have changed. I mean, I always use the Lakers as the example. 9 of their 12 main guys in their rotation changed from last year. So we're going to dive into these numbers each day going forward now that we have enough to really see where these teams are trending. And there's a lot of differences than there used to be. So we're going to talk about, with our statistical analysis today, pace, because, of course, a couple more possessions, literally DFS-wise, can make a difference. And then team defensive efficiency, which I think is the best defensive barometer for how teams are holding other teams at bay or giving up a lot of points. Okay, so again, we have this low over under in the first game. And some of the reason being, as far as pace goes, Utah is 17th, Orlando 18th. So both a little slower than normal. And then defensively, Utah's tough as always. They're 6th in the league. So that's a tough deterrent for Orlando, especially if they're without Anthony. Orlando only 26th. So that does give Utah a big edge. The question is, does this game blow out? The line's 12.5, big line, low number. So this is really truthfully a game to ignore as much as possible. If we look at particularly if Cole sits, that definitely elevates Jalen Suggs at 4.7, so you can consider him. Terrence Ross would get a little extra run at 3.8, but it's a little shaky. RJ Hampton would get some more run at 3.2. Gary Harris at 3.1. But those guys, a 7-game slate is healthy. I mean, those may be GPP plays at best. And then from the Utah side, you've got a fair price on Conley at 6.6. Donovan Mitchell at 9.3 is a little high. Don't particularly want to go there. Rudy Gobert at 8.8 and Mo Bamba at 7, the two real big fellas. I expect them to neutralize each other a bit. I think there'll be less possessions because of the better defense here. So want that Cole Anthony news to see if I can pick up a value piece for Orlando. The only guy I'd really consider, because he's been hotter lately, is Bogdanovich. He's 5.4 for Utah, but he's so hit or miss. Almost want to just come out of this game without any stress and not worrying about it. All right, that game does start at 6 p.m. Eastern, by the way. So let's look at game number 2. It is the Indiana Pacers at Sacramento Kings. It's also a 6 o'clock Eastern game. This should be a close one, according to Vegas. Sacramento -2, 222.5 over under, so solid. Implied total for Indiana 110.25. For Sacramento 112.25. So two good over-unders, nothing to avoid there. As far as records, Pacers off to a rough start at 3-7. Kings of surprising start at 5-4. They've actually played pretty decently. Some of that reason they're over 500 is they don't have any injuries. So that's one plus for the Kings. As far as the Pacers, you've got probable in Jackson, big questionable with Brogdon, very important news there. Also questionable with Lamb, which affects that rotation big time. And then we know TJ Warren's been out forever. Let's look at the pace in this game. This makes it interesting, and the defense makes it interesting. So this is going to be a game where I want to definitely look at rostering a piece or two from each side. As far as pace, Indiana 13th, Sacramento 6th. So when you have De'Aaron Fox, I don't think you can be slower than that. But here's the defensive thing that's a little surprising on the Indiana side, at least. They're 23rd defensive efficiency, and Sacramento 22nd. So they are not getting it done, which is surprising because Carlisle's a defensive coach-minded guy, so he can't be happy with that output from Indiana. But they have had a slew of injuries. They played the beginning of the season without LeVert. Brogdon's been in and out of the lineup, so it's been a little bit of a tougher chore there. So where do we want to go here? This, again, is a really good game to roster. I think I really want to have exposure here. If Brogdon's in and not on restrictions, I think he's playable. If he sits, then you have to look at TJ McConnell. He's up to 5'3", but he's tough in there when Brogdon's out. Brogdon's 8.5, so I doubt I'm going to go there even if he's healthy, but this is a good matchup for him. Chris Duarte has seen a little bit of regression, and that's normal because Karis LeVert's back. Duarte's 5'4", and Karis LeVert is 6'9". So LeVert's price is growing. I still think he's a good play. He's going to be into consideration for me here. Then, do you go with the bigs? I think, this could be a Sabonis game. I haven't been on him for the last week, and he's due for one of his 60-burger kind of games. But you're going to need that because he is 9.4 on DraftKings. So, a consideration there. And I'm hoping I can fit him in. He is one of my priority buy-ups. Miles Turner's up to 6.2 now. He was super cheap there in the fives for quite a while, so not as excited about him. On the Sacramento side, De'Aaron Fox, 8.7. I mean, he's always playable. I will say, though, Brogdon defense, if he plays, is tough. McConnell's defense is decent. So I don't know at 8.7 until I see Fox knocking down some more outside shots if I'm really going to go there. Halliburton, Harkless just haven't gotten it done. Harrison Barnes at 7.5 is expensive. He really is expensive, but I think he's got a good matchup here. He can hit that corner jumper, can knock down some threes, and with Sabonis and Turner at the bigs, they're going to have to do some shuffling to try to get out and defend him. So Barnes is a bit of a target for me today at that mid-level pricing, and I think he'll be low owned as well. Rashawn Holmes at 7.3 is a possibility, a little higher than I'd like in this matchup. And Buddy Hield's up to 6K, which, or down to 6K, I should say. So he's at a price now where you can plug him in. He's still second on this team in usage to Fox. So it's not as though he's not getting his shots up. So I think Hield's a decent sneaky play that you can get at pretty low ownership. Okay, we go to game 3. This game is a 2-hour, it's the same time. So we've got 4 6 o'clock games. This is the third one. Milwaukee Bucks at Washington Wizards, Milwaukee -3, 221.5 over under. So it's very solid. Bucks with a real nice 112.25 implied. Wizards at a 109.25. So again, a game that can get up and down the floor. The Bucks are under 500, 4-5. They've played with a lot of injuries this year. Washington, an impressive 6-3. A lot of people saw that coming, but they're playing some good ball. Injury-wise, Milwaukee, Grayson Allen questionable, which does make a difference. Out, we know DiVincenzo, Lopez, and Middleton. For Washington, we have 4 guys out: Bertans, Bryant, Hashimura, and Winston. So let's take a look at this matchup from a couple different angles here. The Bucks are 5th in pace. They were fast all last year. They're repeating that again, even with their injuries. Washington 18th, so they have actually slowed it down a lot compared to last year, a little bit below average. Defensively, though, this is the shocker. I mean, Washington was in the bottom 3, I think, all entire defensive efficiency season last year in the NBA. They were terrible defensively. They're 10th, top 10 defensive team. What a great job the Bickerstaff has done there. So they're 10th defensively. Milwaukee, though, is only 18th. And that was the thing. Their calling card last year was fast-paced, great defense. And that defense just isn't there. And a lot of it's because they played games without Holiday. They've had so many injuries. So let's face it, that 18 will get better as they start getting guys back. But for the purposes of this game, it definitely brings some players into play. From the Milwaukee side, with Drew Holiday back at 6.4, I think he's a good consideration. We don't know what the news is on Grayson Allen. But we've got a couple of decent plays here. I mean, if you want to go super cheap and get some minutes from some guys off the bench, you can, or starting. I mean, either way, You have Connaughton at 4-4, Thanasis at 3-2, Hill at 3-9, Bobby Portis at 4-6, and even Jordan Nwora at 4-5. So, with Middleton still out of the mix there, some of those guys are going to share some minutes. I'm not personally going there because I see a lot of sharing of all those guys, but not a bad GPP play for a couple of these guys if you can pick out, the right one. I think the focus just needs to stay on Giannis at 11-4 and Holiday at 6-4. Not sure that I'm going to pull the trigger with Giannis this time. I know that this is a great matchup, and without Middleton, his usage is off the chart. But, he's been steady. He's been good, but he hasn't, been paying off these $11,000 and $12,000 tags to the point where, he's a no-brainer. So he's in contention for me, but not sure that I'm going to go there. On the Washington side, I think, I'm not going Dinwiddie with Holiday defense, although Holiday may play Beal part of the time. So that creates a situation where I don't want Beal at 9-2. I think Dinwiddie's playable if he gets, secondary defense from Hill or whomever it is. But 6-7 is still a little bit too high for me. KCP at 4-2, not quite going to go there. I think, the guys that are a little bit interesting are Kyle Kuzma at 6-6, who's, he's been rebounding so much better and getting up and down the floor. And I think Montrezl Harrell at 6-5 is fair. I know he's in a timeshare with Daniel Gafford, but we are due for a good Montrezl Harrell game. And let's face it, with Brook Lopez out, they're really not playing a center. I know Giannis can play any position he wants, but they don't have a true just pounding, rebounding center. And Harrell will beat you up a little bit in the paint. So I think as a flyer at 6-5, people are going to be afraid to spend that on him with the split minutes, but I think he could be a very nice play today. All right, we go to the last game at that weird 6 p.m. Eastern start, and that is the Cleveland Cavaliers against the New York Knicks. Knicks are favored by 7.5. It's a 209.5 total implied for Cleveland, 101, Knicks 108.5. So interesting matchup here again. And Cleveland is 6-4. How about that? They have been phenomenal this year. They really have. I am so impressed with the job that team has done. Knicks are 6-3. So two winning teams. Cleveland out is Love Markkanen remains out, and Okoro remains out. Knicks report no injuries. So how do we look at this? Let's take a look statistically first. Cleveland is 22nd in pace. The Knicks are 24th. So that's a red flag for me. Definitely concerned because you get quite a few less DFS possessions. So in other words, there's going to be points that would normally be there that aren't going to be because of the lack of possessions with two teams at that slow of a pace. Defensively, a little bit of hope here. This will shock people too. Cleveland's 12th defensively. Would you believe the Knicks are 21st? So the Knicks have struggled on defense. I don't know if it's because they've had all three of their centers hurt at chunks of time already this season in Robinson, Gibson, and who is the third guy? Noel. So those guys, maybe that is hurting their interior defense, but they're not statistically defending anywhere near like they did last year. So this game, some interest here. You've got some good value there. Darius Garland, I would think, is always fair at 6-4. Sexton even at 5-8. And on the other side, Kemba Walker at 5-5 and Evan Fournier at 5-4. So neither one of these backcourts are good defensively. And I do think a lot of that 18 ranking for defense or for the Knicks are the reason being is 21st defensively. So even worse than that. That a lot has to do with that new backcourt for them with Walker and Fournier. That in combination with the centers, rotating out. But I think it puts those 4 guards into play is what I'm saying. I think you could easily make the choice. I may go on Garland, Walker, a combination, and, you're getting super value there. Again, it's not a super high scoring game. They do rotate guys. The thing with taking Walker is, Derrick Rose has been playing fantastic ball too, and he's only at 4.8. So if you pick the right guy on the right day, they can do well, but it is scary. It almost makes you want to just stay GPP-ish with that backcourt from the Knicks. Same thing with Cleveland. Garland, Sexton, and Rubio are all playing good minutes. Really, Garland's sort of the minutes winner there. Rubio's carved a little bit more into the Sexton. Dean Wade probably going to get the start again as the third small forward with the other 2 guys out, with Markkanen and Okoro out. So Dean Wade at 3-4 is an option. I think he's got the potential to get it done. Jetty Osman, everybody loves to play Jetty Osman in DFS. Trying to get to some other big numbers, probably not going to go there, but I wouldn't mind having a backcourt player from each side in this game. All right, let's go to the San Antonio Spurs. Well, we've got 3 games left. So real quickly here, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. Hopefully you have. And give us a quick comment. That's super appreciated. I know it takes a few seconds, but just anything. Enjoyed the pod. If you have a question, let's crush it today. Whatever. That combination of subscribing, giving us a thumbs up, and then making a comment really helps us move up the algorithm on YouTube. And while you're at it, hit that little bell, the alarm button up in the top corner. That'll give you a quick alert, an alarm to let you know when any of our podcasts post, which we're posting 11 podcasts per week. We've got 7-day-a-week NBA podcasts in front of the paywall, 3 solid NFL podcasts with our strong team of Andrew Hansen, Omaha Joe Stanton, and Josh Crash Davis. And then we have Andrew and I hit that PGA Weekly every Wednesday, and we've been kicking tail in PGA. We've got some good lineups going today, so hopefully we see those through. And the good thing about our PGA is we're giving out full lineups after that podcast on Wednesdays for the full tournament, and then we give out weekend-only lineups for PGA Friday night for the weekend action. So good stuff. If you're listening to us audio-wise on Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, iHeart, wherever you listen to your podcasts, please take a second. We have a contest once a month. We choose a full week all-access member for all the people that listen to us audio-wise and take the time to give us a 5-star top rating, whatever, on your particular podcast landing spot, and then make a quick comment. Loved it, whatever, hated it, whatever you want to put, as long as we get you qualify for that contest. I don't know if we want to put you in the contest if you say hate it, but no, if you put the if you just click on that, give us the rating, put a comment, then our man Omaha Joe will pull the randomizer out and get one lucky weekly member from our audio listeners. Also, if you want to join us at DFS Coach Talk, dfscoachtalk.com. Go to our website. All our membership opportunities are there. Fantastic time to join. I mean, this just in the heart of basketball, in the heart of football, golf really firing on all cylinders. And we cover the main 4 sports here. We don't try to, go out there and just throw a bunch of garbage at the wall with these crazy sports that are very difficult. I don't think very many people are experts in some of them, but it is what it is. We just want to give you a consistent way for sustainable growth of your bankroll in DFS. And we believe focusing on the four main sports, basketball, football, baseball, and golf, that we can provide to you the information you need, the lineups you need, the clipboards that you need to get this done. So we'd love to have you try us out. You can get as little as a 3-day pass for $10 or a 5-day for $19, and it'll give you a really good sample of all of our sports. So we would love to have you. All right, here we go. 3 games left. We have now a 7 Eastern game, a regular kind of starting time game here. The San Antonio Spurs at the Oklahoma City Thunder. San Antonio is a road favorite by 4. It's a 211 over-under, 107.5 for the Spurs. We have 103.5 for the Thunder. So this not one of the games that jumps off the sheet to you. 2 teams not playing very good basketball at all. We've got the Spurs at 3-6 and the Thunder at 2-6. Remaining out for the Spurs, Collins, and of course Pirtle. And then Gabriel Deck is questionable for the Thunder. We have not seen him this year. So it creates a couple of interesting situations here. Let's first of all talk about pace, because San Antonio playing at breakneck pace for them. But with DeJounte Murray and Derek White pushing the ball, they're 3rd in the league in pace. Oklahoma City, middle of the pack at 14th. Defensively, San Antonio is 9th and Oklahoma City 25th. So let's see here. At the number that they are, 211, that creates a little bit of concern. We've got some overpriced guys, in my opinion. I think DeJounte Murray at 9-1 is just too much. He is awesome, but that's too much for me. Derek White at 6'3", you can consider, but he does not smash his number on a very consistent basis. I've gone the cheap route with Doug McDermott a few times. It's risky. It paid off once. It didn't pay off the other time. He's only 4K, though. Keldon Johnson at 5'5" is a pretty good play. He's one of the top 3 usage players on this team. So you can consider Keldon Johnson. The other question is the big, Drew Eubanks and Thad Young. That's been the $1 million question since Pirtle went out. And I've played Drew Eubanks. He got to the number easy last time at the 4.4 K number. I think he's the better play just because of cost. I do really like Thad Young, and he's picking up the slack, but he's 5'7". So that's just a little bit high for me for a guy that's going to split minutes there. So, not really doing somersaults for the Spurs side. On the Thunder side, I think you have some playable commodities here. Not going to go Shea at the big 8'6" number. DeJounte Murray is a heck of a good defender. Dort at a cheap 4'6" can throw in a decent game. He's worth considering. Josh Giddey's been tough. He is up to 6'3", but it's, he's a triple-double guy possibility. At some point here soon, he's going to get one, and he's getting great minutes. Baisley at that cheap 4'7" number is always a possibility. He can throw a double-double up very easily. Sort of like him a little bit today at that cheaper price. And other than that, this just isn't a great game. All right, we have 2 evening games, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, the Houston Rockets at the Golden State Warriors. So these last 2 games are pretty interesting, pretty juicy, as we say in the Coach Talk world here on wanting to play some people. Houston Rockets are a 13-point underdog. That's your concern in this game. Everything else is good. So do they get blown out? 103.75 for Houston and a smashing 116.75 for the Warriors, which is the highest implied total on the entire slate. We know Golden State's out to a phenomenal start. They're 7-1. Houston, not so much, 1-8, as they need a lot of improvement there. As far as injuries go on their side of the ball, we have probable for House, and we know John Wall is not suiting up this season. Golden State out Iguodala, Klay Thompson, and Mr. Weissman. So how are we looking here on pace? It is very fun to look at this on pace. If it stays close enough, you've got Houston, the second fastest team in the league, and Golden State, the seventh. So extra possessions, a bunch of three-point shooters. Definitely interested here. Houston is somewhat, excuse me, a double sneezer. So we're going to have to elevate this game to another level and roster some guys here. Sneeze alert. So there's going to be a lot of points flying here. I think, the one thing, Houston's defense is 17th, so it's not as bad as people think. It's not good, still a little bit below middle of the pack, but Golden State's number 1. So, that is a concern. I do like this game, though. I really do. I think that Houston just can play at that breakneck speed and throw up a lot of shots, and I think their prices are great for Houston. These are the guys I'd consider right off the bat. Kevin Porter, 6'3", Jalen Green at 5'5", and Christian Wood at 9K. I think those three are very fairly priced. I like their spots in the lineups, and those are the three guys I'm going to key on. You can't go, Tate's cheap, Tyson Sengun or sharing time. Eric Gordon is a more of a GPP guy, but Porter, Green, and Wood could definitely have two of those guys tonight, even against the top defense of Golden State. That's why their price is down, and I think their ownership may be down. Is Curry worth paying up to at 10-7? I think he is definitely one of my considerations for that pay-up spot. This is a great situation for him. Jordan Poole at 5'8" has had some phenomenal games and some average games. He's almost starting to turn into a GPP play. Wiggins, not interested in his inconsistency at 5'9". And I think Draymond's just a little overpriced at 7'4". I know he can get there with all these weird stats of somehow making it to his number, but I'm just not going to press it at 7'4". A punt GPP play might be Damian Lee at 3.8. He's gotten good minutes, and when Poole's not hitting, Lee gets some extra minutes, and he closes games. So some interest there. All right, the last game on the slate. Charlotte Hornets, LA Clippers. Clippers favored by 5.5. It's a 222.5 over-under. Hornets a 108.5 implied total, and the Clippers 114, which is a very nice number there. As far as how these two teams have been performing of late, you've got Charlotte at 5-5, Clippers at 4-4. So I'm not a great mathematician, but I think they're both 500. So good matchup here and a fun one to watch. You got some good players on both sides. As far as statistically from pace, you got to love this as well. They're second in the combination of best pace to Houston Golden State, with Charlotte being 4th and the Clippers being 8th. So Clippers actually playing faster without Kawhi, not setting up for that half-court deal. Reggie's pushing it more, Bledsoe's pushing it more. So I do like this game too. I do like the two late games a lot today. Defensively, it's exciting because Charlotte's second to last defensively. That's their Achilles heel. They'd have a really good record if they could defend. The problem is the Clippers, though. That's the only thing that's a little bothersome here. They're second in the league. Even without Kawhi, they are locking people down. So a little bit of a concern there. Let's talk about this as far as, where are we looking from a cost standpoint? LaMelo Ball at 8.9, just quite past a little bit too expensive for me to play mark. A little bit more interested in possibly looking at Miles Bridges at the big number at 8.1. I mean, he'll get some Batum defense. I get it. And Batum can defend and extend out, but he's played good. He's played well. He did not play well for me the other day. That's why I'm stubborn and almost want to stay on him. But, not positive I'm going to go there, but he's in consideration. Hayward at 6'8", I'm not going to go at because he's going to get Paul George defense, although he's been performing to his number. Rozier's the one that really let me down the other day. He doesn't look completely right just yet. He'll have a breakout game one of these games, but I'm not going to risk the 6-3 to go there. The Clippers side really is more palatable to me. I think Reggie Jackson at 6-2 is very fair. I think Eric Bledsoe might be the value on the slate at 4-4. So that's a really nice spot to go to. Paul George at 10-4. Charlotte's defense is terrible. George has one of the better usage numbers in the league, and he wouldn't be your worst choice for big pay up. I think a lot of people will be afraid to play him. His ownership's been down because his price is so high. But if there's a way to fit him in, I think he's a good pay up option. I really do. Not interested in all the splits between Batum, Zubac, Mann, Kennard, Ibaka back in the mix, Hartenstein getting good minutes off the bench. Just too much sharing of the basketball for me. All right, that is it, my friends. 7 up, 7 down. If you forgot to do it and you wanted to do it on the way out, quick thumbs up, subscribe, give us a quick comment. We'd really appreciate that. We'd even appreciate it more if you came to join us at DFS Coach Talk. We have a phenomenal group of members, great Discord information. We've partnered this season with Pro Football Focus. So our man, John Wehausen's going to be posting. He already has all of the NFL information and statistical analysis for the NFL on Sunday. Try us out at Coach Talk. We're different than anywhere else. We focus on building your bankroll, not trying to max enter and spend $10,000 to max enter a million contests to try to take down a milli maker. If you want to do that, cool. We're hand building lineups, a couple lineups a day. We're working hard throughout the day to build those. And we're giving you one that you can play in your cash and single entry GPP lineups. And then we're giving you one that you can take those big lottery ticket kind of hit on the milli maker. So we treat it as a side business here for our members. We want you to be investing money into DFS in the likelihood of making profit and making long-term profit. If you're doing DFS just strictly for fun and just throwing it in there and not caring, if you have those kind of funds to just keep throwing in there blindly, go for it. But I know our members are concerned with, hey, I love playing DFS, but I don't want to reload constantly. And that's what we do differently here at Coach Talk. We'll work with you. I'll spend a one-on-one. I've done that with most of our members to talk about our Coach Talk process, which really is all about bankroll management and contest selection. Those two things are more important or just as important as the players you use to fill out your roster. So come join us at Coach Talk. We love it. We love seeing our members win, and hopefully you can join us. So appreciate you very much. If you haven't caught our NFL podcast and you're seeing this Sunday morning, jump over there and check out that. Crash Davis and Andrew Hansen have a great NFL pod before those games get started today. So fantastic. Enjoyed spending this time with you. I hope you got some good NBA plays out of it. And we will definitely be back with you again tomorrow when we look to crush it in DFS.